So in today's video we'll be discussing about altitude sickness, which is commonly known as AMS, which is acute mountain sickness. So now today's video we'll be discussing about altitude sickness in Leh Ladakh and how to go about preventing falling prey to this sickness, which has caused harm to a lot of people. It has taken the lives of quite a few people, and quite a lot of tourists who have come to Ladakh are always worried about altitude sickness when they're planning, and even when they are on the trip they're always scared about falling sick. So here are the 10 tips that I would suggest you can go through and you can keep a note of when you are planning your trip to Leh Ladakh. Number one is plan a gradual ascent. So now this is very important. So this basically states that if you, rather than flying straight away into Leh, you can start off by maybe coming from Delhi, then staying a night in Manali, then breaking your journey at maybe Keelong or Sarchu, and then going all the way straight to Leh. Rather than just flying into Leh, this gives you more time to get used to the altitude when you're traveling via Manali. If you're coming via Srinagar, you can stop and break your journey, maybe stay a couple of nights in Srinagar, then maybe break your journey in Kargil and then go on straight to Leh, rather than doing a direct flight to Leh, which usually causes this problem, and the cause of this we'll discuss later on. Number two is acclimatizing properly. Even after you, say for example, if you've already decided to fly into Leh and you don't like doing long journeys, then once you reach the town of Leh, you need to acclimatize at least for 3 days before you go onwards towards Kardungla or Pangong or even Somoriri. 3 days, I would say, is the day one. When you fly in and reach, you just relax in your hotel or your homestay. Do not do anything other than maybe just going for a stroll in the market, and that too if you're feeling well. That is your day one. That's after landing. All flights to Leh are in the morning, so do not feel that you're losing out, because remember, a trip to Leh Ladakh is like playing test cricket. It's about 5 to 10 days that you're going to be there. So do not rush things, take it easy. And day one is about just letting the day go through. Day two is when you can go for local sightseeing if you're feeling fine, and that's, I would say, going to places like Shanti Stupa, Leh Palace, going to Magnetic Hills, and going and seeing the confluence of the Indus and Zanskar. So this would sum up day two, and day two also is advisable to stay in Leh town. Day three is when you can decide to move ahead and go to Hundar and then Pangong, and then beyond that if you're interested. But make sure that you're first on day three, you're preferably going to Nubra Valley, because Nubra Valley, even though Kardungla is dubbed to be one of the highest roads in the world, it is when you reach Nubra Valley, the greenery and the fact that going to Nubra Valley first always makes sense, since there is more civilization compared to Pangong, and in this aspect you'll actually feel a lot more home as compared to going to Pangong, which is completely, I would say, isolated in terms of civilization. So number two is acclimatize properly. Number three would be stay hydrated, but do not overhydrate. So hydration is very important when you're traveling to Leh Ladakh. I would personally recommend drinking at least a minimum of 2 liters of water every day, regardless of whether you're in the room or you're traveling. 2 liters is more than enough to keep your body moving and comfortably functional in Ladakh. Remember, if you overhydrate yourself also, you will fall sick, because it is something which is not good. You need to be anywhere between 2 to 3 liters in a day is ideal what you need to be having. Anything less than 2 liters is going to risk yourself to dehydration. So remember, keep your own individual bottle with you. If you're a team of like a group of 4 to 6 people traveling, make sure that each one has their own bottle and drinks from their own bottle, so you can keep a tab of what and how much of water you're having. If you're someone who doesn't like to drink a lot of water, my personal recommendation is, before your trip, a month or so before that, get into a habit and start sipping water every day, so that you are well hydrated and well prepared to keep sipping water throughout the day. Number four is, do not have any kind of alcohol, do not smoke, and do not overeat when you're traveling. Most people who come to Ladakh tendly think it's similar to going to a party place like Himachal or going to Goa, but it's not. The altitude and the terrain and the conditions are way much more harsher than what you will encounter in Himachal. So avoid any kind of alcohol, avoid smoking, avoid consumption of too much of food. Even if you like the food, it's okay. You can always have it on the last day when you're flying back home, but do not binge eat or do not party in Ladakh. Even if you want to have a drink, have a couple of drinks, but do not go all out where you're having a party where you're trying to complete a bottle or two, because that can really be hazardous to your health. Number 5 is taking Diamox. So now Diamox is something that I would personally not recommend to people to take. It's something that really doesn't. It is handy, but it's only handy when you have already consulted your doctor. Do not start taking Diamox based on the fact that someone has told you to take Diamox. So because in all your research it has popped up. Consult a doctor, and only if he advises you and if you feel the need, then take it. Do not be dependent on medication, because Diamox will put you to sleep, and it's pointless. I would not even want you to imagine, like, you're paying so much of money, you're spending so much of your hard work, you've applied for leaves, and you're going to go there and sleep for the entire journey. It's pointless, because Ladakh is not about the destination, it's about the journey, the things that come along the way, the landscape, and the beauty of Ladakh that you will miss out if you take Diamox. So keep Diamox as a last worst case SOS option. Number 6 would be taking oxygen cylinders. So now oxygen cylinders and oxygen cans are easily available in Leh town. So these are portable oxygen cylinders which cost anywhere between 500 to around 2000 rupees. Your driver or your hotel owners in Leh can help you get it. You do not need to carry this at home. Every place in Leh, every shop or every supermarket will have these oxygen cylinders and cans. But again, these are more of an SOS situation. Do not depend too highly, rely on it. Do not even take it, considering that even if you have it, it's not going to be life saving. So it's more of a placebo effect, which is mind over body. It's something to just pacify your mind. I wouldn't personally recommend it, but it's one of the tips that most people would advise you when you're going to Leh, but it's one thing that you can skip. Number 7 would be layer up and stay warm. This is very, very important. When you're traveling to Leh, make sure that you've got enough of warm clothing. Make sure that you're covering your feet, your hands, and your ears, because these 3 areas are your insulators. If you feel really cold, you can wear a face mask so that you're avoiding any kind of dust going into your mouth. Make sure that your feet are always covered. Do not roam in slippers, even though you feel it's warm in the daytime. The temperature in Leh can change in a matter of a couple of minutes. So make sure that you're always covered in shoes, and you have a good pair of shoes with good pair of socks along with your shoes. Always have a head cap on, regardless of whether it is sunny or it is cold, because like I mentioned, it can get really windy, and this can cause the temperature to drop and your body to really get caught up in this mixed bag of weather. And it's usually when it's really hot in Ladakh during the daytime that you perspire a lot, and that sweat ends up becoming the reason for why you fall sick. So avoid being underprepared. Now, another golden rule while traveling to Ladakh is that climb high, sleep low, which literally means is that rather than staying at places like Pangong and Somoriri, which are at high altitude, you drive back to closer villages like Tangse or Sokar, and you stay in these kind of villages which are at a lower altitude. What this does is it avoids you from falling prey to altitude sickness because of the higher altitude that these places are in. No matter how adventurous Pangong looks like and how cozy the makeshift tents and the camps at Pangong look, it is not advisable to stay there if you have any kind of health issues, and you might never know when your health issue and your health can deteriorate with mountain sickness. So it's always advisable to visit these places and then return back to a place like Tangse to stay the night rather than staying at Pangong. Finally, is that now number 9 is, if you recognize symptoms, act as early as you can. If you see someone who's feeling sick, basically what happens is symptoms would be you'll get fever, your head will start hurting, and the person would lose interest in all kinds of activities, will not be interested in eating food. So if any of these symptoms are there and you feel that the person is falling prey to altitude sickness, make sure that you take them to a medical center. Every place in Leh Ladakh is equipped with a medical center. Every town and village has one, and most of the drivers have oxygen meters, so they will be able to gauge with the oximeters. Take your friends or relatives straight to the medical center and start descending as early as possible. The only medicine and the cure for altitude sickness is to descend in altitude. So the best thing is to first come back to Leh town and then straight away book your flight tickets and fly out of Leh, because it's not worth it to stay in Leh and to save money when your life is at stake. The final tip that I would suggest is that do not have a bath in Leh Ladakh every day, because that is one of the core reasons that people end up catching a common cold, which triggers altitude sickness because their resistance goes down. So this is what our personal suggestion for Leh Ladakh is. If you have any queries, leave a comment. If you're interested in a trip with us to Leh Ladakh, click on the link in the description and you'll get all the details to our road trips to Leh Ladakh. So now till our next video about Leh Ladakh, stay safe, stay happy and stay blessed.